Welcome to Business Talk with Megan McNulty, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of business success and reveals the strategies, insights, and stories that drive these professionals to thrive in the ever-evolving world of business. Whether you're an established entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply fascinated by the world of commerce, this podcast is your front row seat to learn from the best. Each episode, Megan will bring you engaging interviews with professionals from diverse industries who will share their triumphs, lessons learned, and the insights they've gained along the way.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for being here today. So I just want to kind of tell the audience that a little bit about you. So we're talking to the president and CEO of the Richard Nixon Foundation. And is there anything else you'd like to share, Jim?
No, excited to be here and thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So the reason I wanted to talk to you today is you have a new campaign at the library, which is called the American Civics Campaign.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about it. I'm really passionate about civics myself and history. It's an amazing mission. And I just wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about it and what the primary goal and mission of the American Civics Campaign is.
We're really excited to have launched last May the American Civics Campaign. What we have found, and what a lot of other groups have found, well-intentioned, good-meaning groups have found, and really what our board of directors encouraged us to look more into is this issue, the basics of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, our founding documents, the Federalist Papers, the writings of Jefferson and Madison, and I could go on. These are not widely taught anymore in schools. We see the divisiveness in our country today. That's nothing new. We were very divided 50 years ago. We've been very divided at other points in our country as well. But I think what makes this different is the lack of focus across the country in the educational sphere when it comes to American civics, because civics really can be a unifier in helping to solve a lot of these challenges. Providing a roadmap, if you will, to real reasoned debate and reasoned discussion. To understand the basics of the three branches of government, judicial, legislative, executive, what each of them do, what the roles of the state and local governments are. It's like light bulbs are going off in people's heads, particularly younger people, because when they are actually exposed to this stuff and they dig into it, then they can begin to exact the type of change that they want to see in their community or a particular initiative or something that they'd like to champion. But really, what we have found is that civics is not being widely taught, and we're doing our part with the American Civics Campaign to reverse or to try to reverse what we see as a growing and increasingly growing and increasingly troubling trend across the country.
Right. I myself, went to California public school and we never had a civics class. And if you wanted to take history, you had to take like basic, but you only got into when I was in school, into the higher level history classes if you really, had scored well in the basic history class. And, so it's crazy. I don't know why we haven't, there hasn't been more emphasis on it. A lot of people don't even know how their cities are run. So I think it's great.
And I think we saw a lot of that during COVID, right? I mean, even as we know, that wasn't that long ago. Much of this predates COVID, but I think over the last, at least I would argue that over the last 3 to 5 years, we've really begun to redefine what it means to be an American, and those are national conversations that are very fracturing because people have different views of civics. I mean, civics means different things to different people. If we can coalesce behind the appreciation of the founding documents and do our part to pick up where the schools have left off in terms of sometimes not wanting to teach, deliberately not wanting to teach, the virtuous history of America. Other times, teachers just don't have resources. They're not widely available, or the school systems, like you said, public school systems in particular, may not have the financial resources to get the types of curriculum materials and study materials that are needed. So that there's no real one size fits all fix here. So what we've devised through the campaign is a way to kind of tackle as much of this as we can, and we're going to do this in several parts. Number one, we're going to complete the campus at the Nixon Library. The thought here is, to pick up, as I said, where the school systems have left off. The schools are not doing what they should be doing in terms of teaching American civics, and so really it's up to community institutions, and really we would argue there's no better institution than that of a presidential library to be the purveyor of these types of activities, or I should say these types of ideas that can become and turn into activities. So we're going to complete the campus at the Nixon Library, and that's going to include 2 new buildings, one of which I'm very proud to say is entirely already fully funded, thanks to the work of the American Civics Campaign. That building is a new special exhibition hall, which will more than quadruple the available space that we have at the Nixon Library to bring in interesting, marquee special exhibitions from all across the world. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you know the Nixon Library, Megan. You're a member here, of course. You are one of our co-chairs of the Nixon Society. You know what we're all about here. But we're a big tourist destination from people who come in from all over the world. We also attract a lot of repeat visitors from those in the Orange County and Los Angeles and San Diego and Riverside and nearby communities. We need to continue to be that community centerpiece to all different types of groups that come here to learn and come here to experience, what this place means to the community. So the strategy that we have devised is to bring in these marquee special exhibitions from all across the world that in some cases may have little to do with President Nixon. I mean, they're still should still be associated with history and learning and civics. But our goal there is to continue to bring in new audiences to come in, and when they're here, then they learn about the Nixon story and the impact that President and Mrs. Nixon had on this country for more than 5 decades. So this is super exciting because this is going to result in a 17,000 square foot special exhibition hall that will directly abut the existing buildings at the Nixon Library. So this is going to be great. We hope to have the building online by 2026, and I know that your listeners will be hearing more about it as we get closer to the groundbreaking. So that's going to be terrific. The second building is aptly named the American Civics Center. Okay. And in the Civics Center, we're going to build classroom space to facilitate scenario-based learning experiences. Now, what do I mean by that? When you learn any sort of a subject, you can sit there and be lectured at by a teacher. You can go online to an encyclopedia and read yourself. A lot of teachers, a lot of studies agree that one of the best ways to impart information is through what's called a scenario-based learning experience. And so that would be classes in classrooms where students role play. So what we are going to design here are 4 different scenarios in which students can imitate and mimic different roles in the White House. So someone can play the president, and play the vice president, and play the national security advisor, and the secretary of state, and secretary of defense, and they're going to tackle a particular issue. Again, that is not necessarily related to President Nixon, but it would be related to the founding documents. And this will help these students to gain a deeper appreciation of these founding documents and how they are still used, in fact, still vital to our country's decision makers today. So that's super exciting.
Very.
And that building is also going to house the Marine One helicopter that's on site here at the Nixon Library. And we're thrilled to be able to bring out of storage President Nixon's presidential limousine that, we now call it the Beast. It's bulletproof, and the doors are like 5 inches thick. It's an incredible piece of history. We own it, but we don't have any display space to put it here at the library. So we're really excited to build the American Civics Center. So that's part 1 is to build out the campus. Part 2 is to design curriculum. Okay. There's a lot of great civics related curriculum out there. and we're not trying to mimic or repeat, those types of efforts, but where we believe there is a niche and a need to be filled is with existing state curriculum, that items from the Nixon archives can be helpful with. For example, the environment. President Nixon, a Republican, started the modern environmental movements with both government-based and market-based solutions that really were ahead of their time. Again, I say a Republican because obviously the environment is viewed more today as a Democratic or liberal issue.
Right.
But it really started as a bipartisan call to improve America's environmental infrastructure. And I mean, rivers were catching on fire in Ohio, and when that happens, that we have a serious problem. So what we're going to be able to do is go into the archives and bring out interesting documents and information that can be supplemented or supplementary toward existing state curriculum. The third piece of our civics efforts is going to involve teacher trainings.
Okay.
So we actually have just completed our first teacher training. We welcomed 850 teachers from all across the United States in partnership with the Gilder Lehrman Institute for American History in New York City. This was terrific. We gathered them in the cabinet room at the Nixon Library. They went on tours. They went on field trips. They stayed at Cal State Fullerton nearby. And it was just a terrific week-long enterprise where these teachers got to learn about ways to, resources to teach their students about 20th century American foreign policy. So again, it's under this umbrella of civics. Yeah, it was a terrific program, and we're going to be doing that every 2 years, and we are still actively looking for opportunities to keep that program funded and to keep that program alive. And then finally, part of the civics campaign, one of our goals is to support scholarship about the Nixon presidency. Really his life and times, because in many ways, what he went through, his time in office was. It's not that different from today, and in terms of the political and social and economic contexts. And so really, we believe that the Nixon presidency can be a model for the nation, in the way that he governed. He was a Republican, but he was the first president elected in over 100 years since the Zachary Taylor presidency to have both houses of Congress controlled by the opposite party. So you look at his achievements and what he was able to get done in a mere 5.5 years, domestic and foreign policy. And he had to govern in the middle. And I think that his reelection in 1972, in which he won over 60% of the popular vote, 49 state landslide, the biggest landslide in history up to that point, really makes that point more than anything else. So these are the goals of the American Civics Campaign, and we're really excited to be off and running.
That's amazing. So back to like the curriculum, can anybody access the curriculum once you guys have it, fully established? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Everything's going to be available for download at nixonfoundation.org, and completely free for students and for teachers. And we recognize that this is in large part, actually, more than just a curriculum development effort. I mean, this is really an outreach effort. I mean, this is an outreach to schools, teachers, homeschool organizations, charter schools, public and private groups, after-school groups, civic organizations like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. I mean, this has got to be a whole of society type of approach. And yeah, we can start that in Orange County and then broaden out to Southern California, but we're looking to have an impact far beyond that. And that's really where the reaching out to these organizations and building this base from all across the country, and that's why it's so important.
In terms of the buildings that you mentioned, so it's almost going to be like a museum. It's going to be like a museum, and then B, it's also going to be a spot where people can come, and do the what do you call it, interactive learning or scenario type based learning.
Exactly. Exactly. In that sense, we're so much more than a museum, and we got to keep getting that across. That we are a unique community center that offers many different ways that people can come and learn and experience the events, the great events of the 20th century. It's a roller coaster. It was a roller coaster ride through history, and we know that we want to offer as many different ways for people to guests, visitors from all over the world, students, to come and experience that.
It's amazing. So how can individuals or organizations get involved with or support the American Civics Campaign?
Sure. Number one, I would say check us out online at nixonfoundation.org. We invite you to become familiar with our programs, our foreign policy programs, our domestic policy programs, and come see what we're all about. Come visit the Nixon Library. We're in Yorba Linda, which is in North Orange County. Only about 40 minutes from LAX, 25 minutes from John Wayne Airport. Extraordinarily easily accessible. 15 minutes from Disneyland, 15 minutes from South Coast Plaza. We're right in the center of things. So that would be the first thing that I would encourage anyone interested in these efforts to do. If you want to take the next step, learn more about our American Civics Campaign, I invite you to simply call us. Simply call, reach out, be in touch. We'd be happy to connect you. I'd be happy to connect you with our development and giving department, and we can initiate conversations.
Wonderful. Let's go back to the library and the educators. So if let's just say you have educators or community leaders that are interested in teaching civics, maybe they're not a part of a school, a private or a public school, but they want to teach civics. How would they get these resources? You mentioned it's going to be available online, but is there a certain other way they should go about this, or?
Well, I mean, look, we got to get to them, right?
Yeah.
We gotta make sure that they know that there are going to be, more materials available. Again, as I say, there's a lot of groups that do this very well. And so the importance of partnerships here is super important. I mentioned an organization called the Gilder Lehrman Institute. They're a terrific partner of the Nixon Foundations. There are so many other, iCivics comes to mind, which was an initiative that Sandra Day O'Connor, the late Supreme Court Justice, championed throughout her lifetime, particularly in her final years. There's so many good organizations out there that we can and we should be connecting more with each other to have the widest and possible reach. The Gilder Lehrman Institute, one of the reasons why I was so impressed by them and why we invited them to be our partner in this regard is because they have over 30,000 affiliate organizations all around the country. So when you tap into one of their veins of interest, for lack of a better term, your numbers and your potential reach will just multiply like mad. And we know that we can't do this alone. We know this has got to be a broad-based effort in which we're serving as a part. I will say, I hope, a significant part, considering the investments that we're making and more that we intend to make. But this is very much going to be a multi-pronged effort that's going to take a number of years, and it's going to take a lot of different organizations.
I agree. Can you provide any success stories or examples of the impact the American Civics Campaign has had so far? I know you mentioned the teachers that you came and you educated them, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we're still in the early stages of the campaign. We just announced it a little over 6 months ago. I'm proud to report that we already have pledges of $26.5 million toward our $40 million goal, which is pretty exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it really is really, really exciting. But we still have a lot of work to do. And we know that we can't kick a lot of these programs off, or frankly, even design them, particularly the scenario-based learning experience, without having pledges, signed and money in the bank. So that really is our first priority here. So again, I would encourage anyone who is interested in the promulgation of American civics and American history to reach out to us, get in contact at nixonfoundation.org. Come visit us, see us at the Nixon Library. Please feel free to reach out to me, and we can try and get this number over the goal line. And I know that we will. We're very, very excited to be able to do that. And then as we get closer to that 40 million goal, we can really begin to dive deeply into what do these scenario-based learning experiences look like, and then what's our outreach plan to hit the desired impact that we want to hit.
So in reaching this $40 million campaign goal, what opportunities are there so basically it's being funded, right? It's for those listening and everything. This is all, people making donations to fund this,
correct,
this campaign. What opportunities does it look like for people, maybe let's say, to do collaborations with the campaign?
Sure. Yeah.
To get to this goal. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Again, if you're part of an organization that cares about this, we would welcome you to come join us as one of our partners. And as I said, it's all about outreach. It's all about multiplication efforts. It's multiplying what we're trying to do here.
Where do you see like the future of the campaign going? So once you guys hit the $40 million benchmark to get everything, all the outreach started and everything developed, where do you see the future of this going?
Well, we're going to keep raising.
Of course, always have to keep raising.
Always, right? We're a nonprofit 501(c)(3). Your gifts are tax deductible, and they're going to a good cause. You just hit the nail on the head, Megan. I mean, what we will then be able to do is design these types of experiences, and then, as I said, it's an outreach effort, right? So then it's making sure that folks are coming to the library and by folks, I mean people of all ages, but with a particular focus on middle schoolers and high schoolers, are coming to learn about American civics, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the founding documents, the Federalist Papers, and experiencing how the mechanisms of government work. So it is, they can do that through these experiences at the library. We will have online versions so that they don't have to come to the library. The curriculum, which we're going to work with great organizations to help see a wider reach, welcoming teachers here to the library. As I said, 850 came just last July for their teacher renewal trainings and whatnot. We're doing the work here as part of the civics campaign that, frankly, the school systems are not doing. And you talk to teachers, well-meaning, by and away, well-meaning teachers that are passionate about civics and government and history, and they even say, "Look, we don't devote enough time to this." And you can see it. I mean, you can see it in the lot of the national conversations or protests that are going on in the country today. There's just a fundamental lack of understanding about where we came from, and there's a plan. There's no plan about how to sort of restore calm, to have rational discussions.
Right.
And we believe that an understanding of American civics can go a long way toward that macro goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking that a lot of people I talk to don't even know, where certain countries are. They don't even know who the former presidents are. It's just
Right.
Wow. But they do know a lot about pop culture.
Right. Well, remember when Jesse Waters of Fox News used to do his man on the street, quote unquote, man on the street interviews, and he'd go to a particular party or something and show a picture of the vice president. Nobody would have any idea who it was. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but maybe 1 in 5 would have an idea, or two in 6 might know who that person was. We got to do a better job as a society of reacquainting ourselves with what has made America virtuous as a beacon of hope and opportunity across the world. And it's still there. I mean, if you sit and listen to the media, and I'm not saying conservative media or liberal leaning media. I just mean, if you sit and listen, you will become depressed pretty quickly.
Right.
And there's a lot of hope out there, because there's a lot of good people that do believe in the virtues of America. And even if they're not entirely well known, it becomes the job of organizations like presidential libraries to continue to tell that history and to keep people informed.
Yes, I mean, lots of people have the wrong stories of history. They don't have all the facts, so it would be imperative that this happens and people pay attention, because I like I said, I remember going on an 8th grade trip to DC, but that was about it. We didn't really, which was great and very exciting, but we didn't really learn about American history whatsoever in school. At least I didn't. I'm just curious, as we're talking, I thought of this, do any presidential libraries, or any former presidents, I should say, have they opened schools? I don't think so, huh? So
schools
that would be interesting.
I'm not sure of, but I know that the libraries and foundations as a system share a goal in this regard to promulgate American civics, and many of them do that in different ways. Back to sort of what you were saying, about the excuse me, the lack of maybe a focus on civics in schools. I'm going to get this statistic probably wrong, but I'm not going to be too far off. The STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, super important today.
Right.
STEM has essentially supplanted civics when it comes to funding for particular types of funding that comes from the Department of Education. The numbers are it's something like per student enrolled in public schools, the federal government allocates $49 per student for STEM. The number for civics is something like 28 cents. I mean, it's such a disparity.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And again, sadly, I think you can see the effects of this. Michael Beschloss, the historian, posted on Twitter a few years ago. He said, maybe it really wasn't a great idea when we took civics out of the schools. And I couldn't agree with him more. So that's really what this campaign and this effort are all about. We got to get over that goal. We got to get, the closer that we get to that goal, the sooner that we can kickstart these programs into action.
One of the most important things I think with the civics campaign is I've noticed amongst the middle school and high school kids is their lack of curiosity. I'm generalizing right now, but like I'm just saying,
this whole conversation is very general.
Yeah, but like they're not curious about his stories of history or art or common institutions like museums or whatnot, certain clubs, and we're trying to revitalize that in these younger generations. What do you think is going to like inspire them to get curious about some of these stories, like
making it very real to them? I mean, you'd be surprised, Megan. I think people that I'll just speak to my own experience. People that I've written off, friends that I've grown up with, as one that I would suspect is not interested in any aspect of a particular period in history. When you just kind of bring it up and start talking to them, they become extraordinarily engaged. I can't tell you how many of my friends have asked me earnestly, when can I come visit the Nixon Library? And are you too busy to give me a tour? I mean, of course, for any friend, I will be happy to give a tour. But there is this innate sense of curiosity, I would say, particularly among our millennial generation, and certainly among the generation after millennials, Gen Z, to understand who we are as a people and where did we come from? The 250th anniversary of America's quote unquote birthday in 1776 is approaching and will be here in 2026. And I think this is a great opportunity for us as a country to spotlight America's storied past and use that as windows to map out a better future. There's a saying, the past is prologue. It truly is. Churchill used to say that. Churchill was an historian. That you have to study history to understand what's going to happen. Trends and predictions about what's going to happen in the future. And that's a big part of why I'm involved at the Nixon Foundation. It gives me that opportunity to look to the past, to study, and then to look toward the future. And I think if we can just stoke that. Everyone has an innate sense of curiosity, and if we can just stoke those fires, I think we can go far.
You said it so well. I 100% agree. For those listening so they know they can contact you to get involved with the American Civics Campaign. They know you're a 501c3 and that, this is going to be funded by donations. And you also will partner, do collaborations with other organizations,
absolutely,
institutions, foundations. So, I think we have a great setup. I think you said everything very clearly, what the goal is and all that. And I'm myself really excited about this because I love history. And like I said, a lot of us don't even know all the stories of how we got to where we are and why our government is set up the way it's set up. No one really knows that. And I think it's crazy that we haven't in public school, even in the United States, we didn't really study the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence or the Federalist Papers. So
yeah, you spend maybe a 30 or 45-minute class period on it, in maybe 2, maybe 3. But if that is your baseline for understanding, the United States as a republic and our system of our democratic systems of government. That's not much to go on. And again, as I say, unless you are really into this, the resources that are out there, and there are many, are not really easily accessible. And so again, a large part of this effort is outreach
and putting the resources together.
Sure.
Okay. It's great. So you're relatively, younger. I think I'm gonna maybe catch you off guard with this question, but I'm just curious, how did you, become so passionate about history and getting involved with the Presidential Library and everything that you do, and you're so well spoken. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here?
Well, sure. I mean, I've been very blessed throughout my life that I've met a lot of wonderful people, mentors and friends and family that have stoked this fire within me from a young age, and I've just decided to pursue this passion by working at the Nixon Library and Foundation, and it's an incredible organization that with an incredible team of people and a far-sighted, visionary board of directors that I would argue mimics that of its founder, President Nixon. I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities, so I am privileged to lead this effort, and I would encourage everyone listening to get involved. Again, go to nixonfoundation.org. You can email us at info@nixonfoundation.org, and we'll certainly have the right person reach back out.
Wonderful. Well, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you fitting us in your schedule.
You got it. Thank you for the opportunity.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Business Talk podcast and leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us grow and improve. Thank you for joining us today. This has been another episode of Business Talk with Megan McNulty.